the World Series champion general manager of your Texas Rangers. Chris Jung here. CY, it's great to see you. How the heck are you?
Hey, guys, I'm well. Thanks for having me. Good seeing you guys. Welcome to Surprise.
Yes.
Thank you.
Man, and it has been great. The game yesterday was awesome. Today is awesome. So we are just having an absolute blast. I want to know from you right out of the gates, do you feel like the hunted at this point, being the champ?
You know, I've been asked that a few times this spring, and really, I think just given the makeup of our group, we don't feel like the hunted. We don't feel like we have to do anything different in terms of what we did last year. We know we're a good baseball team. We go out and play our style of baseball, and I don't think, that's for really external pressures, I think, that really don't factor into our group. We just want to play good baseball, inning by inning over the course of the season, and we believe if we do that, things will take care of itself.
I feel like Corey Seager embodies that maybe better than any player.
Well, it's Corey.
Stoic.
It's a number of them, but Corey certainly does. I mean, you see how stoic he is, how poised he is. The highs don't get too high, the lows don't get low, and I think that's characteristic of this team. It was one of the things that impressed me the most of last year's season was just the resilience, the perseverance. Again, they never got down when things seemed at their toughest, and I think that speaks to the character of the group, and I think that's why I have a lot of confidence they're going to come back this year and keep the same steady makeup and go out. They're very businesslike. I think that's the best word to describe this group of players. And for me, I love watching them do it because day in, day out, they go out and play the game the right way.
So when you're scouting that, are you looking for that as a mandatory checked box? Or are you thinking, wow, this guy's super talented, but he's a loose cannon, just can't do it? How do you evaluate that?
Well, there's a lot of factors that go into it. I wouldn't describe. I wouldn't say like a loose cannon. I'm not sure is the right term for. Certainly that would raise some eyebrows for us.
Yeah.
But I think what we look for are players who can handle adversity. That when things get tough, they have the frame of mind to really push through and persevere in those moments. And when you put 26 of those together, they lift each other up, and they don't get negative, they don't get down, they don't pout when things aren't going well. There's just a steady poise and demeanor to the group that allows them to succeed day in, day out. And I think the opposite is true when things are going well, they don't get too high and they just stay right there. They know, hey, it's a tough game. We're going to just approach it the same way. Very businesslike is how I describe it.
Davis Wenzel coming up here, bases loaded. This is fun.
This is fun. We're looking like we may get a pitching. That's maybe a mound visit here. No pitching change yet, but this is a great opportunity for Davis. He's had some good at bats early in camp here, and certainly someone who's been in AAA. He's close to. He's been in consideration a couple times for being called up, and really good infielder. And these moments in games like this are good for us to evaluate, to see how he handles it, see if he stays true to his approach and how he can get the job done here with, bases loaded, one out. We want to see him hit a fly ball or hit the ball hard somewhere and hopefully drive in a run.
See why when you sat down with your legal pad after the season, and here you are, a championship team, you built a championship team, what were the challenges for you? Did you have to go out and say, okay, maybe some things I learned along the way that I wanted to change? Even though you were a championship team, is it tempting to do that, or is it I want to kind of keep things the same, or you just trying to keep developing as the general manager?
Oh, well, in terms of, I'll always be developing. I have said this before, by no means do I think I have this job mastered, and nor will I ever. And if I do say that, then I probably need to be out of this position.
Sure.
I think that's the beauty of baseball. I felt that as a player, too, that there was always room for growth. And even in my age 37, 38-year-old season, there was still development taking place. And the best players continue to get better, and I think the best executives also continue to get better. And so, I'm very grateful for the group I have around me. We have wonderful people in the front office, and really last year's success was an org-wide effort. We had so many contributions from so many people, really everybody in the organization, and that was reflected in our Baseball America Organization of the Year award. And I think that speaks to really the health of the organization, the trajectory of the organization, and how much everyone collectively has contributed to our success. So it's been a lot of fun.
How do you decide what you want to get better at?
Yeah.
Well, it's a long list. So. It really, I think the needs of the organization will determine a lot of that year by year. 1 year it may be more in player development, it may be more in international, it may be in our research and and our research and development department. It could be in our pitching development, our hitting development. I mean, it could be with our major league team. It could be coaching development, leadership development. There's so many areas year in, year out. And really just trying to keep an eye on each area and making sure that I have my finger on the pulse of what the needs are, what's functioning well, what may need a little more maintenance and improvement. And then, dedicating my time accordingly. And that is one of the hardest parts of this job is time management and determining where the biggest areas of needs are. But this spring, what a great at-bat. That's a tough pitch to take right there.
Boy,
and
really tough pitch.
Davis just saw it out of the hand. It's one of the things he can do, and just really laid off a tough slider there. I mean, that was a borderline strike, and he was able to lay off. That's impressive. Those are things we look for when evaluating a young hitter like that, and to see the poise in that at-bat was impressive.
Rangers General Manager Chris Jung with us here in the GBag Nation. Speaking of impressive, we've been kind of marveling at what Ezekiel Duran's been doing in the time that we've been out here. Who's been turning some heads for you?
Well, there have been a number of guys. I think one of the neat parts of this spring for me, it's the first spring that I've been able to really come out and, I'm not going to say relax, but just be a little more hands-off. I've been able to step back. And some of that speaks just the continuity of the coaching staff and our player development staff. And we haven't had a lot of turnover over the offseason, and everybody knows each other and everybody knows what the standards and expectations are. And so for me, it's been a really enjoyable spring to sit back and watch everyone do their jobs and to see this camp function very, very smoothly. It feels like a well-oiled machine right now, and Boch and his staff have been tremendous, and really, really excited about that. And one of the things that's been fun is getting a look at some of these young guys. We're easing some of our veterans into camp. Obviously, Josh Jung is out right now. Corey Seager's out. Adolis Garcia has not appeared in a game yet. Intentionally, we're easing him into camp. But seeing guys that are either first year on the 40 or close to being on the 40 and getting some early innings or at-bats has been impressive. So, Abimelech Ortiz on second base right now is minor league player of the year last year. I think he hit 29 homers, if I'm not mistaken. And, we hope he's primed for another big season. And so seeing guys like him, Davis Wenzel, Jonathan Ornelas, and many others. Emiliano Teodo, who was the Arizona Fall League reliever of the year last year. We saw him come in a big spot last inning and get that punch out on a 100-mile-an-hour sinker. It was pretty impressive. So the future looks bright.
You talk about the young guys. One of the positions that everybody's been very interested in is the DH spot. And some young guys have a chance to maybe secure that role. How difficult is it to be a youngster and get put in that spot that seems like it's a little bit more like a veteran position?
Well, I think it's really part of the big leagues is that you have to perform. It's a performance-based game, and when you get the opportunity, whether you're a veteran or a young guy, you're expected to perform. And if you don't perform at a certain point, somebody else is going to get those opportunities. So I always say that we want to put our young players in positions to succeed, recognizing that they're going to go through struggles. They're going to go through ups and downs, and they're not fully developed when they get to the major leagues. There's no way to finish off somebody in AAA. There's development that still takes place at the big leagues. That said, I think oftentimes it's the intangibles or sort of the mental side that allows a young player to succeed and have early success and then handle that success. So it's one of the main things we look for in our younger players is that really that mental toughness, that poise, that mental stability, so to speak, that's going to allow them to step right into a big environment with pressures that they've never experienced against the best competition in the world and perform. And we saw that last year with Evan Carter. We saw it with Zeke Duran, Josh Smith. There have been a number of young players that have been key contributors over the last year. And, I think this year's team, in some ways, we may be a little bit younger than last year. Almost. A little bit younger than last year, but I think we have the right makeup of young players to help us win.
Ornelas nearly had a base hit down the left field line, but it just went foul. So the bases remain loaded here in the sixth inning with the Rangers now leading the Brewers 6-5. We're chatting with Rangers GM Chris Jung. Okay, how much did your fame go up this winter? I mean, you're already recognizable, DFW athlete and all that. Was it hard to make your way through a grocery aisle?
My wife would attest that I don't make it to the grocery store often, so I can't take credit there. But I'll say this, that one of the best parts of this experience for me has been our fan base and just the DFW community. Everywhere I have gone, I have run into fans who have come up to me and thanked me. And I feel the exact opposite. I thank our fans because the support that they have provided and really the weight that they've been through to experience this championship. Seeing so many people so happy and celebrating the Texas Rangers has made me happier than I could have ever imagined professionally, and I am just still so thrilled for all of our fans, and I'm thankful to every single one of them for the support and the love that they've shown us, and I am excited about what's to come too.
Yeah. I mean, and it's so cool that you get to come home and bring a championship. You had this great line that will be defined by what we do from here. But at the same time, there's got to be some recognition that you made history. You blessed DFW in a way that will never be forgotten. You were absolutely defined by what you did last year as well, CY, at least from my perspective.
Well,
Mine
look,
too.
I appreciate that. And certainly I am very grateful for everything that we accomplished last year. And yes, thrilled, but I don't want to sound content or complacent. And I think that's the characteristic of successful organizations is that they don't rest on their laurels. They come back and they find a way to win again. And it may mean a championship. It may not. It's going to be super hard. I get it. But this team wants to continue winning. They don't want to do it one time. They want to continue winning. And I think that's the goal of our organization is to be continuously successful and do this year over year because that's what the best organizations do, and we want to be one of the best.
Is the door still cracked open a little bit on a Monty return?
Well, I'll never close it. As long as he's out there, I'll never close it. That said, the group we have in camp is our group right now, and that's what we're focused on, and that's probably the extent to which I can give you an update.
Totally understand that. How about updates? How about Seager and Jung?
Yeah, they're both doing great. Corey's been a little under the weather the last couple of days, but still recovering very well. Josh Jung is doing phenomenally well, and I think we're expecting Josh hopefully back mid-camp, at least DHing, if not playing third. But he's on the right trajectory, as is Corey, so I think those two are doing really well. Like I said, Adolis is we've intentionally slow played him. There's no injury reason whatsoever aside from he just played a lot last year, and we want to make sure we ease him in. He's had some live batting practices where he's torn the cover off the ball, and so he looks like he's midseason form, but I think he'll make his debut some here in the next week. And then we'll be ready for opening day. And the pitchers, Jacob deGrom continues to do well. His throwing program has increased, which is great to see. I talked to Jacob this morning, and he's feeling great. Tyler Malley is doing wonderfully. Hopeful that he'll still be back midsummer. And then Max, we've got a very favorable report on Scherzer last week and continues to progress well. And we're hopeful that he's we'll start ramping up baseball activity here in the next 10 days to 2 weeks, and at which point really starting to go through a spring training, which will put him back around hopefully June 1st, maybe a little later, probably not earlier, but nonetheless things are on track there too, so we're excited.
CY, what advice do you have for us wannabe general managers that want to get all the young players on the 25 on the opening day roster and stuff like that?
Oh, you want Langford on the roster. I know you do.
I'm an LSU guy, but he's a Florida guy. I approve of a Florida guy there for sure. But what advice do you give to, because we talk about that so much with you guys do, and everybody's like, oh, no, get this guy up. But, you are the model of patience. And so what advice could you give to all of us that want to continually push these players?
Well, the biggest thing I say with the young players is that they'll show us when they're ready. They show us, and you can't put them out there too early because the game's hard, and if they're not ready, it could really hinder their confidence. It could really detract from their development. So they'll show us when they're ready. And the other thing regarding the opening day roster is, I would say everybody gets fixated on the opening day roster, and then by day 3, you've made 3 roster moves, you've optioned 2 guys and DFA'd someone else. So
yeah.
It's a one moment in time roster, and the roster continues to evolve over the course of the season. And a player may or may not be ready by opening day, but it doesn't mean he won't contribute, whether a week in, a month in, 2 months in, at some point in the season. So it's a long race.
Well, okay, and you used quite a few players last year. How deep would you say that you have to go to get through a season? How deep? We talk about your 25 player, whatever, but how deep do you honestly feel like I've got to have I've got to have 35 guys, or I've got to have. Do you have is there a number, a formula you use on this?
I mean, it's a really interesting question, and one that I look back over the last 4 years, and the state of our 40-man has been in different positions when we were in a rebuild, so to speak, when we're in a win now mode, and right now we are in win now mode, and I think for me that means that we want a very functional, usable, deep 40-man roster. We want everybody at this point to be close to contributing to the major leagues. That said, you're always going to hold a few spots for development, but by and large, we need players who are close to contributing because every game matters, and the difference in calling up a player who can contribute that night or having a fresh arm may be the difference between winning or losing the wild card or the division, as we saw last year. So it's really important to have a functional 40-man roster when you're trying to win. And if you could be 40 deep, you'd prefer to be 40 deep. That said, there will be a couple spots held for development players who we will not see in the big leagues this year. Although I never put limits on guys, but going into the season, we added Jose Corniel to the roster. Jose has looked phenomenal this spring. It's been a lot of fun watching it. He's really opened eyes. If you get a chance, you should ask Boch about him. Boch is just raving about how mature this kid is at 20 years old, coming into his first big league camp. Jose will likely start at Double-A this year, and he may or may not be an option for us at some point during the season, but we know that he's got a bright future, and so we were willing to save a 40-man spot for him so that we didn't lose him.
See why I've been going through the clubhouse each and every morning. It's been the best part of my trip, getting to hang out with these players and get to know them a little bit, and just kudos, 2 thumbs up, the chemistry, the camaraderie. This is a championship clubhouse you got there. Some of the best I've seen, CY, to be honest with you.
Well, it really means a lot that you say that, and I've heard that from a number of fans and media. And I said this today. I was talking to Jacob deGrom and just complimenting him and his teammates on, I love watching our guys play the game. I love the way they go about it. I mean, even right now, watching every single player at every position, when the pitch is thrown, they're coming into a ready, set position where they're anticipating the ball being hit. And sometimes you look out there and players are distracted, or they're not engaged, they're not involved, but every single player out here on our team plays the game the right way. These guys run the bases hard. They do the little things, and we have one of our core values that we call dominate the fundamentals, and those are the fundamentals that we talk about. And when you're willing to do the little things, their talent is going to allow them to do the big things. And so that's what the championship culture is. And I'm very proud of our guys and our coaching staff for the standards that they have provided and that our players have lived up to, and it just speaks to the character of all of them. And I feel like a proud dad sitting back and watching these guys play the game, but it's so true day in, day out. These guys do it the right way.
I've been asking these guys every day who they believe has the bigger championship finger. Is it CY or is it Bochy? Bochy's got the giant dome. I was going to see you're a multi-time champ now, so where are you going? Which finger are you going for the new jewelry?
I'm going with the same finger, my right ring finger, because I've never won wore my Royals championship ring, and I don't know if I can pull off this championship ring either. As much as I'm going to admire it, I think it's more of a display than it is a wear around ring. So I can't pull that one off.
We got to guess. We got to figure out the ring size here. So let's go around here. Broadest Dawson. Let's guess the ring size of CY. I will start the bidding.
You're going to be disappointed, honestly. I think I have like skinny fingers here, but really? I don't know.
I'm going to go 11.5.
11.5's on the board. Can you go up, Dawson? On that? I'm going to go 14.
Yep.
14 says Dawson. I was going to go a strong 13.5. CY.
Well, I measured as a 13, but yeah. So you guys are all right around. Yeah.
Okay. Very
Except
good.
for me, I just threw it out there so
Larger
I could give
gentleman.
you guys that.
Yeah, championship hands right there. Champion as a player and as a GM. Last question for me: if Bochy would step away from the game, do you think he could go down there and complete the trifecta as a skipper? I mean, chances are, right?
That's a hypothetical I've never thought of, and I can tell you this:
right?
Boch has a big head, but his shoes are even bigger, and I would want no part of filling those. So
well
he's
said.
he's the best of the best, and I absolutely love working with him day in, day out. Spring training has been so much fun coming in there, and the laughs we've had in his office. He just puts a smile on my face every day, takes things off my plate. He makes everybody around him better, and we're champions because of Boch. I love him, and I'm so happy for him and thankful to him, and we'll keep it going. I want to keep Boch in that manager's chair.
Definitely don't want him to retire anytime soon. Thank you so much, Chris.
Guys,
it's always
thank
great
you.
to get to chat with you.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.